Hi everyone, welcome to our review of the Test of Narrative Language. I'm Alyssa.
I'm Cassandra.
And I'm Gina.
The test of narrative language is a norm reference measure of child language abilities that test the ability to retell and create stories. Story formulation and retell require the child to connect and remember ideas about stories, including features such as characters, motivations, goals, actions, and outcomes. It provides a picture of the child's ability to use expressive language, vocabulary and semantics, syntax, sequencing, memory, perspective taking, and prediction. The three conditions within the test include no picture, sequence picture, and single picture. The child produces a language sample in story format and then will be asked to answer questions about the stories they have heard and created. The test of narrative language tests for language impairment and ability to learn meaning and story without an image from a series of images or from a single image with multiple features. There are two subtests within the TNL, narrative comprehension and narrative production, with scores that are combined to make a total narrative language score. This language score will then be used to predict the presence or absence of a language disorder. The TNL takes 10 to 20 minutes to administer, but it should be used along with other standardized measures to get a full picture of the child's abilities. The TNL was normed on a sample of 1,059 children in 20 different states across the U.S. The sample was highly diverse, with participants correlating closely with the 2001 United States Census. It should be used with children between the ages of 5 years old and 11 years old and 11 months. Sensitivity, specificity, validity, and reliability were all significant according to the examiner's manual, unlike many other available tests of child language. In a review of tests of child language assessments conducted by Spalding, Plant, and Farinella in 2006, only the test of narrative language and 3 others out of a total of 43 tests reported in the manual acceptable identification accuracy.
Now I'm going to tell you a story that goes with this picture. After that, I'll ask you some questions about my story. Then I'll show you a picture for you to make up a story about. Try to make your story even better than mine. I'm going to call this story The Dragon. One Saturday morning, Daniel and Michelle found a new trail they had never seen before. They decided to follow it to see where it led. As they came around a bend, they heard a strange hissing sound. Daniel snuck up behind a large rock and peeked over. He whispered to Michelle, "I can't believe it. I think there's a dragon by the cave over there." Michelle peeked over the rock to see for herself. She was excited. She ducked down and said, "Yep, that's a dragon all right, and he's guarding a treasure chest." Daniel was scared. He said, "Let's go tell Mom and Dad what we found." He started to get up and ran off. Michelle grabbed his arm and said, "Wait, nobody will ever believe us. We need to take a piece of gold back with us as proof. Then they'll know we're telling the truth." Daniel thought this was a really bad idea. He said, "If the dragon catches us, we'll be cooked." Just then, they heard the dragon going back into his cave. Michelle said, "Now it's our chance," and then she dashed around the rock. She ran up to the treasure chest and started grabbing all the gold and jewelry she could get her hands on. The dragon heard her, dashed out from the cave, and blew blazes of fire out of his mouth. Seeing the flames fly toward her, Michelle screamed with fear, dropped all the treasure she had taken, and ran as fast as she could right past Daniel. Daniel, his eyes wide in terror, followed us as fast as his legs would carry him. They didn't stop running until they reached the end of the trail. After they caught their breath, Daniel and Michelle went home and told their parents about their adventure. They didn't have any treasure to prove their story was true. Their father said, "I find this pretty hard to believe." "We can prove it," Daniel and Michelle yelled. "We'll take you back to the trail." The family walked to the place where Daniel and Michelle thought the trail began. They looked and looked for the trail, but they never found it. To this day, Michelle and Daniel are not sure if their experience with the dragon was real or just a dream. Now I'm going to ask you some questions about my story. What were the children's names?
I don't know.
Where were they walking before they saw the dragon?
On a trail.
What did Michelle want to take back with them?
The dragon's treasure.
What did Daniel think about Michelle's plan to take a piece of gold?
He didn't like it.
What were the problems in this story?
The dragon blew fire at the girl.
What did Michelle do after the dragon blew fire at her?
She dropped her treasure and ran away.
Where did Daniel and Michelle go after they were scared?
To their parents.
What did Daniel and Michelle do when they got home?
They told the dad that there was a dragon.
What did their father say?
That was
What did the family do?
They went to look to find the dragon again in the trail. So the kids are looking over the rock at the dragon, and he's blowing fire out of his mouth, and there's jewelry in a treasure box, and they're worried because they want the jewelry, but the dragon is gonna come and get them.
Oh, sorry. Now I'm going to show you 5 pictures that go together to tell a story. I'd like you to look at them carefully, then tell me the story that goes along with the pictures. Make your story as long and complete as you can. You can start anytime you are ready.
These ones?
These ones. So start here.
The boy woke up late. He has his alarm clock in his hand. He was trying to make himself breakfast, but he spilled his milk because he was looking at the time. He was worried. And when he was trying to get ready for school and tie his shoelaces, the shoelace broke. So he was upset. And then when he went to go to the school bus drove away, so he missed it. And then he got to school, but his teacher told him that he was late, and he was upset.
Thank you.
The client exhibited strong performance on the TNL in terms of story retellability. Syntax, semantics, and sequencing were all intact, as well as perspective taking and prediction. Memory seemed to be an area of deficit as the client struggled to recall proper nouns and names of characters in stories. Further evaluation is needed to determine a full picture of the child's language abilities. However, the TNL was able to provide evidence of a deficit in memory and recall of detail in the context of a story retell for the child.
Thank you.
The client exhibited strong performance. We're also curious.
We're happy tears.
This is a tough one.
This is what your son's doing to me.
Okay.